Right, the bloke in the city hat, all sport for choice, two of them, suggested this as starter. So here we go. We're a Podful of Saints, the Christmas edition 2024, 22nd edition of the season. And laughing away there, we have Jake. Happy Christmas, Jake.
Merry Crisis, Dave. Hope everyone's well.
It is a Merry Crisis. Merry Crisis to you too, Lee.
Are you feeling cheerful today, Tavs? Merry Christmas, mate.
Same as usual. Same as usual.
Oh, shit. Miserable shit. Right, okay.
Here we go with a review of yesterday's match at Clarence Park. St Albans City 1, Truro City 2. Not according to some websites, still 0-0. Still waiting for the first goal. Anyway, let's look back at it. Last season, Truro were playing anywhere to get a game because their pitch wasn't, well, they didn't have their own pitch there, didn't have their own ground for 4 years. So I think we played them down at Plymouth. So that caused a bit of trouble for them. They were fighting relegation. They brought in John Askew as manager, or John Askey, sorry. I said Askew last week as well. John Askey as manager in the summer. And people think big changes. But no, actually, of the squad that we played back in March, 8 of them were at the park yesterday. So he's done well. He's kept his core and he's built around it. And here they are. They went into the game, third in the table, I think it was, after being knocked off the top last season. They weren't at their best yesterday. But admission by him and talking to their supporters after the game, they weren't at their best, but they got away with it. That late goal. I thought we battled well. First half was pretty forgettable. We went a goal up. I thought we played a bit of confidence for a while. With Zane Banton's first home goal since Truro were down the park in March. But we didn't capitalise on it. Sean Jeffers had that one-shot save. I can't remember Dan Lavercombe in the Truro goal having another save to make apart from that. And that's where it went wrong. We just couldn't get that second goal. They came back. What's his name? Andrew Neal came off the bench and scored in about 10 seconds after coming on. First successive game he scored against us. It should have been disallowed. It was blatant foul at the back post by Billy Palfrey on one of our blokes, who I couldn't quite catch in the video. And then that quite spectacular winner later on by Will Dean. What did you two make of it? As I say, I thought we battled. They probably showed it overall because they hit the woodwork as well. But it could have gone either way.
Could have gone either way. And I think that when it was 1-0 to us, it sort of, whether we were worthy of it or not, you always thought that the one thing about Truro is they worked for each other exceptionally well. And they moved up and down the pitch as a collective. And you can see why they were grinding out results over the course of the season. One thing I'll say about us, yes, we were unfortunate not to have got something out of the game, but then you look at last weekend where we snatched something. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts. But I just feel as though people were losing their minds after the game yesterday. And it wasn't great that we've lost another home game, of course. But ultimately, I could see we were working hard for each other. You look at the defending we had to do. People were putting their bodies, the last-ditch tackles, people throwing themselves in front of the ball. It's small progressions, but it's not. We need a bit more now. You know, we need to have results at the end of this sort of endeavour. One thing I would say, Truro, I weren't that impressed by. Yes, they worked hard and they were solid enough, but for a team that's supposed to be fourth, I've seen better teams this season. But again, they got the result. They got the job done. I thought we didn't promise going forward. I thought Charles and Sean Jeffers, they played too far apart. And I'm not entirely sure whether Charles was sort of floating in the first half in particular. He was really out wide, second half as well. Banton, obviously, yes, we had that fantastic goal, almost reminiscent of the Banton of old. But ultimately, just the gaps in between our players was still evident there. And although the work rate is increasing, I think we just gave ourselves too much to do because the gaps in between our midfielder and our strikers, Truro were just picking us off, and they were always they were first to that second ball. They were really putting the effort in. And we should have got something out of that game, undoubtedly. But I think Jake and I sort of turned to each other on the terraces at the end of the game and thinking that one hurt, didn't it, mate?
I feel sorry for anybody turning to Jake. I agree with you about Ken Charles and Sean Jeffers. I thought they were fairly anonymous, unfortunately. It may have been the supply wasn't there. What did you take from it, Jake?
Yeah, I think everything that's been said so far is pretty fair. I think that Lee spotted a thing there about the gaps in the team. I think between the defence and midfield as well, I thought we struggled at times, especially later in the game with Truro's transitions and speed turning forwards. And also in the department up front, we're lacking someone. So we're going a bit more direct, aren't we? I think we're just lacking someone that can actually hold it up and it sticks there as well. I think Sean and Ken are doing their best, but I don't think that's naturally their roles really. They probably need someone in the middle of those two that they could then play off. So I think that's missing. But for parts of yesterday, it was a decent performance. Truro weren't good. We weren't amazing. But when we missed those couple of opportunities after going 1-0 up, I say a couple because Ken Charles had one, didn't he, that he sent just wide after a really good run. After both of those, I just thought, no, I couldn't see us holding on, unfortunately, just the position we're in and the way we played this season. Then it felt inevitable when the equaliser came, and then the winner was just an absolute sickener. And it's just one of those things that you think it's one of those seasons. It's been terrible already. How can it get much worse? Thanks, Truro. Enjoy your 6-hour coach journey back. Cheers, lads.
Lee, you spoke about people throwing bodies in the way and whatnot, blocking shots and whatnot. The first one, as I already mentioned, was a foul. It will be shown presumably on the highlights later on. If not, it's on the Podful of Saints ones, which Jacob puts it up. But the second goal, that was the worst one in many respects because they came in from our left, their right, and he got past Phil Chinadu easy. I don't think Phil was close enough to make a challenge. Can't fault him. But then the tackles by Gio Rasulu and Iffy Allen, they were powder puff. They should have been going in hard, blocking the ball, and they almost pulling out. And it made it easy for Dean to get across and get his shot in. And of course, Youth place right in the corner there, and Johnson couldn't get to it. So maybe we could have done a bit more about that one. And it's interesting. Ian said you've got to stop conceding those sort of goals. As any side will say that, of course. But maybe we could have helped ourselves a bit more there, as it wasn't totally firing at the other end. But full marks to Truro. A goal down. They were on the rack for a little while. Maybe on the rack's a bit of an overstatement, but we did have the upper hand. But they came back strong. They hadn't scored in their previous two games. Obviously, hadn't won either of them. But they still had the confidence to go at us late on, and they got their rewards in that respect.
They did, and I'm going to make a point of not really picking on individual players, but seeing as you've already started it, Taz, I want to say there were 2 or 3 occasions yesterday when Gio either opted out of a 50-50 or the tackles were very lightweight in which he was putting in. We don't need that attitude at the minute. We need everyone to start, really fighting for that ball, and it led to a couple of their chances and their counters. And I'm thinking to myself, especially when the midfield is so light, the quality of Gio Rizzulo is there for all to see. And hopefully now he can bring a bit more sort of toughness into his game, because there were opportunities yesterday where he just pulled out of tackles or were half-assed attempts, really. And I think we need, when morale is so low, confidence is so low, we need a bit of steeliness in the middle of the park there to really sort of drive us forward. And I'm not entirely sure that you're going to get that from Gio. With Matt Lench no longer in the team, we need someone, I wouldn't even say a leader, I just think we need an organiser in the middle of the park there to really start, putting some tackles in and getting us driving forward again, especially even when we're defending and we are backs to the walls. We need someone to lead from the front and lead with that first tackle in and really get the crowd up and get the crowd going, the crowd tried their best yesterday, but it's very mundane, very placid, very sort of tepid. We need that one tackle, that one drive, that one person to really sort of cheer us up and get us going in the right way.
When you saw starting lineup, Jake, Josh Castiglione dropped. Ben Smith dropped again after coming back for one game. And Alfie Payne coming back in. What did you think there? Would you have gone with that 11, do you think? Were you happy with it?
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see Josh dropped after he's been fairly consistently in the team, isn't he? And I know he asked about that in the interview, and there's nothing behind it, just looking at the squad. I mean, I quite liked that we had Sean, Ken, and Zane Banton back in the team together, and I thought you saw them combined a couple of times. In the first half, there was a couple of half opportunities, a couple deliveries into the area that made Truro think a little bit. And then you saw, didn't you, with that goal of Zane's impact, when you actually bring him back into the team and get him starting and get him in a role he's happy with. Brilliant finish. And I thought Zane throughout the game, you could see him working so hard in midfield. unfortunately, I just don't know if he had the midfield support around him to be able to fully pull it off, unfortunately. But the starting 11, I think it was just really a trial game, wasn't it? These 4 games have been for the management in the sense of just looking through the whole squad, and now pretty much everyone's been viewed now. So, yeah, I think Josh harshly dropped, but I think there's still a couple of players in that squad that I think may be wondering if they're going to be here in the next couple of weeks.
I'm not sure about Josh harshly dropped. I don't know. He's flitted in and out of matches. He really has. And he was on the bench a number of times to be substituted. I thought he might actually come on and see what the end of the game looks like for a change, but it didn't happen. Right. The squad, you mentioned he's looked at everybody. I think Ian's gone about it completely the right way. So often a new manager comes in, just brings in 4 faces or so of people he's known for years. Right, we're going to come in. This club's in trouble. We're going to whack these straight in the side. We're going to do it that way. He's not. He's looked at what he's got, and full marks to him. So there were 4 big games, 4 very tough games. If he had got a draw Saturday, that would have been 3 draws out of 4. Not a lot of points, but against the sides we were playing, that would have been a very commendable start. Unfortunately, that goal, just seconds from time, put paid to that. But I think he now knows what he needs. He's seen what everybody can do, how they fit in, and I think we're going to start seeing changes. All right, Joe Partington has gone, Matt Lench has gone, and Romeo Akinola. Anybody got anything on Matt Lench's departure?
Well, I mean, we'd heard a rumour, hadn't we, earlier in the day, and then sort of suddenly gone. A surprise. I think there's a few things going about in terms of whether he was able to train fully and whether he's fully fit. I think a lot of question marks over that. I was quite shocked to see him go, but obviously he was non-contract, and they just need to make space in the budget, don't they? Same with other departures recently. I think they need the space there to start bringing in the players that they want. But yeah, it's sad to see Lench go. I thought he was all right.
It's the same with Romeo Akinola. I think he had to go. There was just no point. He was just a squad member at best. And unfortunately for Iffy Allen, I think it's going to be the same for him as well. What about you, and Lee? You happy the way he's taken his time bringing players in? This is Culverhouse, and he's looked at what he's got, so now he can make proper decisions and see what he wants.
Yeah, spot on. You know, if you start coming into a club and making wholesale changes straight off the cuff, you set a precedent there, don't you? Dave, you're absolutely spot on, mate. He's come in, he's looked at everybody. He's given everyone an equal chance to impress. And we knew the players who weren't really going to be making it, but it was up to him now to really sort of look at it on his own eyes. Yeah, you know, you're looking at an Akinola. Excuse me. Lench was a surprise, but maybe we'll look deeper into the elements of his training and stuff, then maybe not so much. But also, to get people in, there's not a load of money available. It's all tied up in the players that will be signed over the course of the summer. So in order to get new people in, he's got to ship people out. Quite frankly, it is as blunt as that. But it's given everyone a fair crack of the whip. I believe that there's going to be a few surprises in terms of people leaving the club. Because I think that the style in which we want to play now is evident. And I think he's got to get the players to fit into that system. So, yeah, it's going to be what I would say. We've had no pre-season. He's had no pre-season. He's had 4 weeks to look at these fellas, and looking at the 4 teams we have played. Would you have earmarked Maidstone, Boreham Wood, Worthing to get points from? Really? So I think we're looking at the games ahead now. And I think getting players in is always going to be a struggle because you want people who are committed and good players on contract are going to cost money. So we've got to address that. But look, it is what it is, fellas. You know, people are. I'm genuinely shocked at how doom-mongering people are after yesterday's performance. It wasn't a great result by any stretch, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. But what I would say is we've got a good established management team now. We've got half a season to rectify this absolute, show that we're in. I believe that Ian and Basil have got the contacts now to get the players in, Dave, which I think is key. You know, you're not just sort of scrapping around the likes of teams below us or leagues below us. He's going to be looking at good quality players now to sort of try and steady the ship and drive us forward. We are, 7 points away from safety. Teams around us are picking up points. Bath have seemed to have got a little bit of a resurgence sort of going on. So that's a dangerous element we've got to keep one eye on. But ultimately, we've got to start winning games. Performances are great. They're a bit more solid now. But ultimately, it's the results that are going to get us out of this. And in order for that to change, we've got to need the players to buy into this. And whether the players here want that or not, if not, then we've got to get some players in who do.
Yeah, that was Bath's first win in a long time. Was it Avery? They beat 3-0 yesterday. So it'd be interesting if they build on it now or if that was just a one-off. Ditto Hemel Town, which I guess we're going to come on to in a little while for some reason or other. I've had a message here from Andy of St Albans. Afternoon, Andy. He said, after the wins for Bath City and Salisbury yesterday, the gap is 8 points, making the Hemel and Enfield games must win rather than not lose games. I think everyone can go along with that. But then he also says, Culverhouse mentions the core group he wants to build the team around. Who are they, in our opinion, and who would we move on to bring in fresh faces? Who wants to go first on that one? Who would you get rid of? Bearing in mind, most of these players, if a club has bothered to send the contracts in, will be on contract, so it makes it a bit harder to get rid of them. But we've got a bit of history on this, Lee, haven't we?
Well, I suppose that's the interesting thing about Akinola's departure, isn't it? I think we believe he was on contract, and the wording of the tweet the club have put out saying they've agreed a transfer with Shoaling. So there you go, managed by Paul Doswell, who I'm sure many will recognise and remember. In terms of who we'd get rid of, I mean, that's hard.
Go on, Jake, go on.
I think there's definitely a few that could potentially do with loans, likes of Ben Smith. I know a couple of the other academy lads that were sniffing around with Nobby when he was here, or say academy lads, some of the younger lads, so you likes of Nick Ralph, think they'll probably be lined up for a loan as well. The actual core groups, I think part of the problem is who would want to pick them up, I guess, as well. That's going to be tricky, isn't it? And would a player just rather be here earning a decent wage than sort of agreeing to a transfer to be released and then not having a club to go to? It is difficult. In terms of that squad, though, I mean, if you look at that starting 11 yesterday, would I say that any of those need to be booted out the door tomorrow? Not necessarily, but it's more focusing on the areas that we desperately need something. And I think there's, a defender and midfielder to start with, at least. Two sort of real battlers in there, I think would be really quite useful. Lee's unsure.
I just think that Chinadu and Claridge have played well since they've been together in a partnership with Long King in there as well. Long King for me is going to be the absolute pivot of Tav. She's the spine of the team, right? MJ, Long King.
That's it. Your spine down the middle. It's not there. You go through the middle of midfield. It goes, Lee, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay, understand why you hesitated there. Yeah.
So we need someone as a central midfielder. But I'm also looking, and this is going to be controversial, someone up front, because the way we're playing, we need someone to fill that system. We need a front man, a talisman, a target man, if you like, if we're going to continue to play the way we are. Sean isn't that player. Ken definitely isn't that player. I'm not saying that they can't do the role, but there will be better suited strikers up there if that is the way we're going to continue to play, because we can play direct, but then you're just wearing the hell out of Charles and Zane and Sean, because you're asking them to run in behind and chase balls, which is fine, but it's a lot easier if the ball's coming towards you and it's sticking, and then you're bringing all of these runners onto you. I think that there's going to be an addition up front, because I think that's the need. And in the middle of the park, defence, I think, is becoming a bit more settled now. And I think collectively as a defensive team, we've improved wholesale. Absolutely, 100%. It's difficult, fellas, because the players that are there, you don't want them to be booted out per se, and I don't think it will be booted out. But again, you've got to fit to the style of the way that Ian wants to play, and I think that people need to come in order to do that.
Obviously, mention keeps being made of Sean. That's going to happen. Come April, he'll be 33 then, so he's getting towards the twilight years. But I still think if the side is set up correctly around him, he will get goals. He will get goals. But at the moment, we're just not creating. We had that one chance yesterday, so we expect him to score 1 out of 1. Well, it's not going to happen. You've got to be a bit more realistic and give him a few more chances than that. And I thought that's where we struggled yesterday, was the creativity. As for changes in the squad, I'll answer your question, Andy. The other two have found a big fence. Iffy Allen, I don't see his career progressing with us. It's just a waste of time him being on the bench at the moment. And I'm going to say Josh Castiglione as well. He hasn't delivered, in my opinion. And why does he keep getting substituted? I mentioned in my notes last week, does he have to catch a bus at 4:30 or something every Saturday? That's why we keep taking him off. There's got to be a reason why we keep taking him off. Is he not fit to last 90? I don't believe any of that. He hasn't quite done it for me then. Alfie Payne, got a good record, but it just doesn't work when he pulls on the City shirt, as far as I can see. Gio Sulu, there's a good player in there. We all know it, but we're not seeing it. We're still not seeing it. We're seeing it week after week. We're just getting flashes. If Ian could get it out of him, then great. I'd love to see Gio flying, but we're not getting it. Ben Smith, do you know, I actually wouldn't get rid of Ben. I know I criticise him for being too negative, but I still believe there is a good player in there. And if Ian can get him to change his mindset, he's a good passer of the ball. So if he can encourage him to become more forward-thinking, more attack-minded, it'll help the team, and it'll certainly improve him as a player. Ball's in his court. It may be that another manager may just be happy with him, just keep him in possession and let somebody else be a ball player. But it hasn't worked in the first half of the season for us, having that sort of player in midfield. I do agree as well. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't change the attack. I think he will bring players in various positions, and we've got to strengthen that spine, as you say, straight down the middle of the pitch. We have still got one of the best goalkeepers in the league. Central pairing, well, with Long King, good players around him. He's going to dominate in there. But it's interesting talking to some Truro supporters after the game yesterday. He said you've got two big lumps at the back there. I assume it wasn't looking on the terraces. So it also means Long King and Chinadu. But he said they don't win many headers, which was interesting. Interesting thing to say. But I think that's their opinion.
We've got quite a few players. Well, I think we're lacking a lot of players in this team actually that can win headers. I think that's a fair point. And if we're going to go more direct and more aerial, I think that could be a bit of an issue. I think it's the same issue in the forward areas, and I think it's a problem at the back. But we've seen, haven't we, departures of Lench and Partington. This new management team are not willing to sort of muck about and be afraid about big decisions. They've made the big decisions that they can in terms of those players that they can't get rid of, or they can get rid of on contracts. It's just now what can they do in terms of those other players that they maybe want to see depart. Clarence Park. I think though that the pressure to bring in new faces after yesterday from the fans is really going to increase now. I think it's been a month-ish. We've had obviously one come in with Claridge, and the way they've done it is right, but we need picking up results, don't we? And we've identified the areas, or the management have identified those areas, and hopefully those faces start to arrive very, very soon because we need that help.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the patient the supporters are. I mean, we've given them our back, and we didn't expect much from these 4 games. And we've seen things that given us a bit of hope for the future, especially the way he's gone about his work. I spent a quarter now talking to the referee's assessor yesterday before the game, and he didn't realise we got Culverhouse. His first thing he saw was light reflecting off Bazza. And he said, "You've got Bastock out there. Have you got Culverhouse as well?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Good appointments. They will get you out of trouble." I'll come on to a stat in a minute, which will suggest otherwise. But
love a Christmas stat. Love a Christmas stat.
No.
But one thing though, Tavs, so Bazza came into the clubhouse after the game, and if you could sort of quite hear him through the dirgy, jingly, jangly Green Day covers that was being blurted out, he watches the pod, which is great. Hi, Bazza, how you doing, mate? But the one thing he said to Ian was that results, it's a results business, and they're trying to work towards that. But one thing he said to Ian was that the fans here are like no other fans that he'd encountered in any other club, in so much that they will give us our support. They're not ones for sort of like hollering and getting on the players' backs and effing and jeffing and all this sort of stuff. It's counterproductive. The one thing he said about St Albans fans was that they would have we would give them our total support. And I think that's really good because it gives them the confidence now, and it gives them a little bit of time. And whatever their tactics are, whatever their plan is for us this season, it's going to need the fans on side, isn't it? And as Jake said, the result yesterday, it wasn't great. And we are now hoping, praying for a bit more positive outcome in terms of the Hemel and the Enfield games, certainly. So for Bazza and Ian to look at this now and say, right, we've got the support of the fans, we've got a bit of a leeway in terms of how we're going to sort of unfold over the next sort of few games. It's key to understand that these fellas have come into this quite cold as well, and the results haven't been there for us, but we've got a bit of time. Not masses, but we've got half a season now, and it's got to start in the next sort of 2 or 3 games. We've got to start looking at wins because with all the greatest will in the world, say, Bazza coming in and Culverhouse coming in, it's great, and the assessor's right, it's the best appointment we could possibly get, but they'll know themselves, mate, it is a results business, so we've got to start picking up those sooner.
Yes, we'll come on to the 2 games where we look to get wins very soon. The crowd yesterday didn't look much at 3 o'clock, suddenly by about 10 past. It was good, 1,500. Very good crowd, really. Last Saturday before Christmas. In the old days, you never wanted to be at home last Saturday before Christmas. But then people's shopping habits have changed, so maybe that affects... Well, it has, because it's all online now. So, you don't have to go out on Saturday shopping. So that helps a bit, I think. But fun enough, it's still 500 down on the game last year, but I think there was a reason why that was such a big crowd. 90-minute goals. It's frustrating, isn't it? Losing the game to a goal 4 minutes into injury time. We've had 3 goals for in the 90th minute plus and 3 against this season. First one against Potters Bar, won the Hearts Charity Cup, totally meaningless, doesn't matter. Against Salisbury, Sean Jeffers scored, it was offside anyway. That was nothing more than a consolation goal, that didn't mean anything. So the one at Sean's goal at Worthing last week, that got us a point. From our 90th minute goals, and the ones against Slough, we got a late goal, they got an injury time one, that cost us 2 points. Chelmsford, they got a 90th minute goal, cost us 2 points, and then Truro again yesterday cost us 1 point. So although we've scored 3 and conceded 3 in the 90th minute, we are well down in the points tally. No, it's just the way it goes, isn't it? You can't score any time of the game, just those ones stand out more.
Yeah.
Is that your stat? Is that your Christmas stat?
No.
Okay.
No, it's a far better one, yeah.
Well, no.
Come on in. Dish it out, mate. We're all sitting there waiting.
Well, we're all saying that Ian Culverhouse is going to get us out of trouble. And the referee's assessor, he said it as well. He says he will keep you up. He will get you out of trouble. But now we've played, 22 league games, and we've won just 2, which is incredible when you think about it. If you go into the season, you can't believe you're going to have a stat like that. But we've got it. That's the way it is. Once before, we've won just 1 league game out of the first 22. That was the 55-56 season. We lost a load of players at the end of the previous season when we'd been runners-up, and they all went off. They're all amateurs then. They were getting boot money to go elsewhere. And we finished bottom of the league that time, but there was no relegation in the Ishmael League, and we were successfully re-elected. The other time was 73-74. What a god-awful season that was. How many managers we got through? Got through 3 managers, I think, that season. And so just 2 wins that season, not 1, after 22 games, the same as now. We were relegated, along with Corinthian Casuals, as first teams to be relegated within the new look Ishmael League. So the 2 times we've had a record like this, we've not got out of the bottom 2 come the end of the season. There you are, there's a go on there, Ian. Take it on.
Merry Christmas.
Good Lord, that's a terribly depressing stat, Tabs.
Yes, of course it is.
I know this is a season of giving, mate, but you could have given us a bit more of a positive stat going into the Christmas campaign, mate. Jesus.
Well, we're giving everybody points. Trying to keep everybody else happy, aren't we?
Right, yes. Anyway.
Right, Christmas has now come and gone. We're at Boxing Day now, which reminds me, here we are, 2.5 hours on since I ordered my ticket from Hemel, and it still hasn't come through. So you thieving what's you better not have just taken the money and run. Hemel Hempstead, they had a change of manager recently. I don't know if you noticed. Lee Anderson, his first appointment at this level, coming up from Hendon at a lower level. Excellent assistant manager appointment, bringing in Chris Winton and Ian Anderson, head of football. There's quite a bit of St Albans City connections there. So just adds a bit of spice to the game, doesn't it? And with Saturday, them only going down 1-0 at Torquay, and by all accounts, they played well. Unlucky not to get anything out of it. Lost to a penalty in the end, having beaten Weymouth 3-0 the week before. It's fascinating. Two clubs in transition at the moment, really.
Yes. Transition is one way of describing it, Dave. I like that. I don't know where we're transitioning to by come the end of the season. I don't want to think about that right now. Yeah, well, it's going to be. I mean, Vauxhall Road isn't exactly the most delightful places to go, is it? On Boxing Day or New Year's Day? Boxing Day this year,
or any other day.
yeah, or any other day. And then the thought of Ian and Lee grinning at full time is really not helping my mood even further. So I mean, Ian talked about it in his post match, didn't he? He said it doesn't really mean much to them as a management right now, but they know how much it means to the fans, the whole club. To be honest, all they care about is 3 points, isn't it? They just, like Dave, you said earlier, didn't you? It's gone from not lose to must win, really now, isn't it? Already these two fixtures, and I know Lee's unsure about that, but that Bath win has certainly added just a little bit of an extra dimension. And we know it's going to be really tough. It's going to be a proper fight. The Allensons will have that team really well drilled, ready for Boxing Day. And I'm definitely anxious about it.
Well, it gives us a chance to catch up with a couple of old boys. Joey Schifano's there with 5 goals in 12 games. He's not starting every week. He's on the bench quite a bit these days. And Kyron Wiltshire, he's often on the bench for other reasons. Sent off twice this season, got 2 yellows and 25 appearances. So, good to see those two again. You'll be pleased to see them, won't you, Lee?
No, I'm not looking forward to this in any great depth, I've got to say. I mean, listen, it's every time we go there, we get abused by the great unwashed, and it's always a real sort of tension game. It's very sort of tackles are flying in. I mean, on the whole, we haven't done too badly there.
No.
It's just, I just hate these games. There's so much riding on them anyway. And the fact of position that we're in, Lee Allison's come in, you can see what he's trying to do. He's sort of trying to turn it around, and the players are responding. So I did say this last week. I was more fearful of the Hemel game than I was of the Truro game, and that is absolutely validated in this now. Must win. Okay, yeah, I'll buy into that, fellas. I don't mind that. The must win for me is the Enfield game at home. Not being pessimistic in any way, shape, or form, I would quite happily take a point at Hemel on Boxing Day. Yeah, I just think that the Allison effect, they're going to be well up for it. All I would say to our players is that you just play the game and not the occasion, because the fans will be. We're going to get behind you. No word of a lie. We will be there in numbers, as we always are. We're religious, and we will shout until our voices are hoarse. However, play the game. Just play the way. Play with a bit of spirit and play with a bit of passion. And hopefully we'll get something out of the game, but I am extremely nervous about it, I have to say.
We'll only all be there if they bother to send the tickets out. I don't want to go on about it, but I will. I'm inclined to agree with you, Lee. I don't think a point at
it's Christmas. Hey, Jake, I'm the favourite now, mate. I'm the favourite now. Yes.
I don't think it's a total disaster there. But mind you, it's a stat show. You can't stay down there too long. You get sucked in and you've had it. But Enfield, the party is over if we don't win that one. Certainly the honeymoon period for Ian will be over if he doesn't win that one. Enfield, to me, probably will finish bottom come the end of the season, although Weymouth are doing their darndest to finish down there. It'll be a big shock if we don't win that one. The home record for the last year and a half, whatever it is, last year, has been absolutely shocking. It's got to change. And kicking it off on New Year's Day with a win against them, it's got to happen. End of story.
Yeah.
Jake?
Definitely, yeah. But I think, going back to Boxing Day, I think we can't afford any sort of really humbling defeat there, can we? I mean, the confidence will have been knocked quite a bit by the defeat to Truro and the manner of it. If we lose at Hemel, I think, say 2 or 3-0, I think the honeymoon period will be over before we even play Enfield, to be honest with you. So it is a really, really big game, and we know what it's going to be like, and it's going to be frenetic. I mean, last year's game was chaos, wasn't it? Really, in the sense of the way we came from behind to win it. And that's one good thing is we've got good memories down there, like Lee says. Not a bad record in recent years, and there always seems to be a late goal. I just hope it's not against us this time. But it'll be really interesting to see how they set up. Will we go a little bit more defensive potentially, or will they try and be a bit more expressive and go with a similar sort of attacking front line that we had against Truro? I think if we go out there and attack, I think we've got a decent opportunity, to be honest. Himmel aren't perfect at the back. We saw that under the previous managers. So we'll have an opening. I think going there and sitting back, a bit like we did last year, it soon found us 2-0 behind, didn't it, at half time? And a similar approach might cause similar issues this year.
Jake, it certainly is no longer the favourite league. Talking rubbish here about us sitting back last season. Now, the first 12 minutes when Hemel got their 2 goals, we'd already had chances. Well, we were on top. We just couldn't turn them into goals. They got 2 breakaways. They went 2-0 up. And they just crumbled. They absolutely. But aside we had out this season, I'm seeing who's still around. Ben Smith's still around. Rasulu's still around. Zane Banton. From the starting 11, that's it. Hutchinson, is he still with us, or is he in hospital somewhere, or has he gone back to Wheelstone? We don't know. We don't get any news. Come on, Joe, ask some questions. You did better this week. You obviously listened to the pod. Ask more questions about the players. And Jeffers was on the bench and came off and scored a goal to try and prolong Nobby's stay a bit longer. Yeah, that was last year. This year, I don't think we can afford to go 2-0 down before we start finding the target. It's going to be fascinating. I think in many ways, though, the pressure is more on them being at home. This is going to suit us being away from home.
Oh, yeah, I do agree with that. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the management team at Errol because they'll be expecting a win. They've seen our league position and where they are and where they're turning things around. They've brought in some new faces from Shock Hendon. So there's going to be pressure on them, and there's not as much on us. But yeah, it's just also, can we ban Dave for mentioning the post-match interview for a week, please?
He's not mentioned the tannoy for a few weeks, so yeah, maybe we're sort of
Yes, Johnny appreciated his mention on it last week.
I bet he did.
I'm not sure appreciate is quite the word, but no. Merry Christmas, Johnny. You do a good job, especially as yesterday. What a nonsense. But he was given a team sheet 9 minutes before kickoff. He should have had it at 2:15. And the most frightening thing, as soon as you pick up this team sheet, St Albans City FC. Why do they put FC? We know it's a football club. Truro City, they're not a football club. They're just Truro City. Anyway, get rid of the FC. It gets worse. Underneath that, they have manager. Do you want to have a guess who they had? It wasn't Ian Culverhouse.
Was it Nobby?
Worse. Sorry, worse. He's still at the club. I shouldn't say that. Sorry.
Harry Wheeler.
Well done, Lee.
Really?
That's why we lost, isn't it? Yeah, Harry kept his record going.
On our own team sheet. They didn't even get the manager right. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, the walls just come crumbling down, and it's, oh my goodness. Bravo. I mean, bravo. Seriously. Anyway. I bet you loved that, Tabs, don't you?
I felt so sorry for the person who wrote it. I thought, you poor thing, you made a genuine error there, and some idiot's going to pick it up and ridicule you.
I wonder who that may be.
I have not got a clue.
Anyway,
right.
Quickly.
I've got some bits to add. It's good to see yesterday some old supporters turn up. Brian and Guy, not seen them for ages, down from Crowborough and Kent. Weirdo was there, first time in donkey's years, looking weird. And Phil Coates accosted me up. Yes. Martin Patterson to you, Lee. Phil Coates accosted me after the game, but wanted to mention for the City Slickers.
Yes.
Includes him, Big Tone, who looked delightful in a reindeer hat yesterday. It was a big improvement, actually, Tone. And but also part of them is Derek Jeffers and a few others in there as well. And yes, we're happy to give them a mention. And they went for a pre-match breakfast or lunch or something or other, and they seemed quite jolly.
Yes. Where was your hat, by the way, Dave, yesterday?
You needed a rain hat yesterday, didn't you? It chucked it down 5 minutes into the game. You lot all went off to shower. That got full up in there. Went to go in there. You couldn't see a thing because that blooming gantry blocks everything. So I stood out there and took it like a man.
Good.
You could have come behind the goal and stand next to us, Tabs. What's the matter with you? We'd have looked after you. We'd have looked after you, mate. It'd have been great.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. That is most touching.
Should we do some predictions?
No.
Yeah, well, my prediction is not going to be a white Christmas, is it?
No. There you go.
That's good chat, Sass. That's good chat. Right, so Hemel, I'm going 2-2.
It's always 2-2 with Hemel. For God's sake. Good one, Lou. Jake?
2-1 Saints.
Was that, mate?
2-1 Saints.
Only one person got the outcome. Didn't get the score right, but got the outcome right on Saturday, of course. I can't see us losing, funny enough. But to keep the balance right, we've had a win and a draw with you two. I'm going to have to go for a defeat. It's against my religion to go against us. Oh, no, it's not. It's the 6th one in a row I said we'd lose. Yeah, we'll go for the 2-1 again to Hemel.
It's just a pod full of Christmas cheer, isn't it, fellas?
It is, isn't
it?
Oh, dearie me.
Good.
Right, are we done?
I think we are. I think
So. I think we've ruined everyone's Christmas enough, haven't we?
No, Dave has ruined everyone's Christmas with his stat of doom.
Oh, dear.
Stat of facts, Lee. Stat of facts.
Right. Okay. Of course.
Well, on this cheery, whatever this was today.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you all for watching. Podful of Saints, Twitter, email, etc. All the usual what I say every week. Thank you all very much for watching. We wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
And we will speak to you again very soon. Come on, you Saints. Bye-bye.